I think the red wave that's coming is going to be like the elevator doors opening up in The Shining.
We're not just going to see a red wave, we're going to see a red tsunami.
The red wave, if it at most, has become sort of a red trickle.
It turns out that the right-wing echo chamber can only take you so far. While there were all these expectations of a red wave, Republicans taking over Congress, that's not exactly what happened, with Democrats being able to hold off in the vast majority of cases, picking up a seat in Pennsylvania, as I will get to, including some other key races. And Democrats, yes, losing a bit in the House, but as of recording this, they're expected to either hold on or maybe lose the House by 1 or 2 seats. Anyways, these results are still coming in, but it's nowhere near the red wave that was expected. So let me first start by showing you that I was streaming last night for 7 hours and 11 minutes. All right, so I am exhausted today. I'm going to try to get through all of this in one take, so I may fumble over words or something. I'm just going to keep going. I don't care. I am exhausted, but if you want to check out that stream, if you have 7 hours to spare, go check out that stream. Number of great guests on there. So it was hosted by the Serfs. I was on there with Matt Binder, Aaron Brown, Humanist Report, you see there. Also, Illuminati, a very popular YouTuber. Also, Vosh came on later on, and earlier on, Oliemi Olurin was on as well, who is now blowing up. She was recently on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne. So anyways, fantastic panel of people on last night. It was a great show. And we were there as the results were coming in. So let me start first with some just overall views on both ballot measures and also certain losses, including this. So from Vaughn Hilliard here, tonight the GOP governor candidates who refused to say if they'd have certified Biden's 2020 win in their states all lost their races, minus Kari Lake, who still is likely to lose, but the race isn't called yet as of recording this. But all of these election deniers losing their race. Fantastic. This was the biggest worry, that you would have people in these positions of power that would be able to flip their states. They all lost their races. Really good to see. Also here, voters support abortion rights in all 5 states with ballot measures. So the 5 states that had abortion rights ballot measures, they all passed, including, if I can get this ridiculous video out of the way, you have California, Vermont, and Michigan approved ballot measures enshrining abortion rights into their state constitutions, while those in traditionally red states of Montana and Kentucky, my God, I was up till 3 a.m. last night. Montana and Kentucky rejected measures that would have restricted access to reproductive care. So, this is what I've been saying for years. Americans actually skew center left, if not outright just on the left. When you look at actual ballot measures, when you look at abortion rights, when you look at wages, which I'll get to as well here. Nebraska passed a ballot measure to raise its minimum wage to $15 per hour by 2026. Nebraska. And a measure in Nevada to raise it to $12 by 2024 is leading. So a minimum wage ballot measure still has not lost since 1996. At the very least, you have to admit Americans are on the left side of the economic spectrum. They support workers' rights. They support higher wages. This is a fact. So Democrats should not be afraid of running on these issues. Fetterman ran on raising wages, and he came out on top. Here he is. 50.53% to Oz at 47.05%. Fetterman outperforming Biden in terms of percentage of the vote here. Again, showcasing how you have a populist, a more progressive candidate at the top of the ticket, actually winning voters over more than the so-called centrist or moderate Joe Biden. In Pennsylvania, a state that is viewed now as a swing state. So it's not just, the AOC districts, the deep blue districts, that it's good to run this kind of campaign. No, it's everywhere. The message that Fetterman ran on is popular, and that is why he won. Here is a piece of his victory speech.
I'm so humbled. Thank you so much. Really. Thank you. Thank you. Like what is it? It's like 1:30 in the morning and you're still here hanging in? I'm proud of what we ran on. Protecting a woman's right to choose. Raising our minimum wage. fighting the union way of life. Healthcare is a fundamental human right. It saved my life, and it should all be there for you when you ever should need it. Standing up to corporate greed, making more things right here in America and right here in Pennsylvania, and standing up for our democracy.
Look at that. Listen to that platform. Abortion rights, raising the minimum wage, support for unions, healthcare as a right. He supports Medicare for all, standing up to corporate greed, and more. This is what Democrats should be running on. Again, he ran on this in a purple state, and he won. This is what we have been saying for years. But often money wins out in the primary races, which is why often these sorts of Democrats don't actually make it to the general, and they are unable to prove that this message wins. But here you have Fetterman winning his primary, coming in, running in this race, running on that platform and winning. And Gen Z, of course, also a major piece of this. So a CNN exit poll suggests Mr. Fetterman was backed by 72% of 18 to 24-year-olds, a significant increase on the 2020 presidential race, where CNN's exit poll showed support of 59% among that age group for Mr. Biden. Massive support here from Gen Z, and this is all across the U.S. This is why Democrats were able to either win or hold on to seats that they were expected to lose, because of the turnout from young people. Also going to the point that Democrats need to begin serving that cohort a lot more than they currently are. All right. Also, this is from John Della Volpe. He's a pollster, writing here, one thing I know already, if not for voters under 30, tonight would have been a red wave. CNN National House exit poll. So 65 plus are for Republicans and plus 13. 45 to 64-year-olds are Republicans plus 11. 30 to 44 is Democrat plus 2. And 18 to 29 is Democrat plus 28. Again, showing why Democrats won last night and who Democrats need to speak to more. This from Hannah Trudeau from The Hill, saying centrists often make the argument that progressives win in deep blue safe districts, which is accurate / nothing wrong with pointing out, but this was very much the opposite of that. Statewide Pennsylvania, and Fetterman explicitly ran as an economic populist. The entire Bernie Sanders aligned wing of the Democratic Party won tonight, from Fetterman in the Senate to the new squad members in the House. And I will get to those new squad members in the House, at least highlighting a couple of them. You see a few here: Maxwell Frost, Delia Ramirez, Greg Casar, and Summer Lee. And I'm going to start with Summer Lee in a second here. But first, I want to show you this clip because it's funny. I laughed. So this is Fox News before and after the midterms.
The Democrats probably should say, you know what? We put too much emphasis on abortion and the threat to democracy and not enough emphasis on kitchen table stuff. Abortion and democracy were the two of the biggest issues with voters.
Now, look, I don't want to downplay the economic stuff because that is important, and that was a big part of Fetterman's message, and I think a big part of why he won. But in exit polling, it did show that top issues for Democrats were abortion and democracy. So this, I'm not sure who generated the idea. I'm guessing it had to be from the right, that talking about those issues were unhelpful, because clearly it helped them. Those were very important issues for people, and that is a big reason why many people came out to vote. Now, Bernie Sanders and the candidates he backs. So he goes through a massive list here. I'm not going to go through everybody, but essentially the progressives that Bernie backed in these races won. So he writes here, progressive candidates had a great election night. I want to thank everyone who got out there and helped make this happen. There will now be more strong progressives in the U.S. House than ever before. I'd like to quickly highlight a few of them. So let me highlight a couple of them here. Starting with Summer Lee. This is a massive win. So Summer Lee is a fantastic candidate, going to be a new member of the so-called squad here, winning her race in Pennsylvania, House District 12. Summer Lee becomes the first black woman elected to Congress from Pennsylvania, and she has a great platform. You can go to her page, look up Summer Lee on Google, look through her platform page. She supports Medicare for all, of course, higher wages, Of course, LGBTQ issues, of course, strengthening democracy. Go down the list. She is there, and a fantastic new member of the House. Also worth mentioning here from Leah Greenberg saying, and the loser of the night is AIPAC, who revealed they were totally willing to sabotage Democratic chances of keeping the majority, set $4 million on fire in an attempt to beat Summer Lee and still lost. So AIPAC went crazy with the amount of money they tried to spend, or that they spent against Summer Lee, trying to defeat her because she recognizes the humanity and human rights of Palestinians. So it really is disgusting what AIPAC has done in many of these races, but in this case, they lost. Also here, Maxwell Frost. This is the first Gen Z member of Congress winning in Florida, Florida's House District 10. This is Val Demings' old district. Val Demings ran for Senate and lost against Rubio. But here you have 58.99% to 39.46%, outperforming Val Demings. So again, someone more progressive here, doing better in this district than someone who is more conservative. And I had a big deep dive on Maxwell Frost back in August, so I can link to this video below, or you can look it up. Bringing back Maxwell Frost makes history and brings hope. And he is a 25-year-old gun violence survivor who pledged to be an advocate for gun reform, and as I said, the first Gen Zer in Congress. Now, just some random things to end this video. This from Alex Salmon saying, Florida Democrats ran a former police chief and a former Republican in their two biggest statewide races. So we're talking about Val Demings and Charlie Crist. Both got absolutely trounced. How much longer are we going to have to endure these calls to track right? So Florida was a great result for the Republican Party. Of course, DeSantis winning big there, and they kept their senator there as well in Rubio. But it would be nice to see what may have happened. I mean, you may still get the same result, but I would say that, I think my assumption here is the race would be a lot closer if you had someone running against these Republicans who were actually great candidates, actually fought for the working class, were unafraid to take on corporate greed, as an example. But, we're not going to know until Democrats are more willing to run those candidates. And, of course, it's always going to be a constant battle, right? Because those in charge of the party, of the Democratic Party, they are completely attached to corporations. So when someone like Fetterman manages to get through, it's almost by chance. It's not by design. So it's going to be a constant fight. But the more that we are able to chip away at that narrative that you must run these GOP light candidates, these more conservative Democrats to win, the more we chip away at that bullshit, the more that the public will stop buying it and will start supporting more progressive candidates. This is also worth mentioning here. So this from Shared by Austerity is Theft. Cortez Masto pushes back against Biden's student loan forgiveness as other Dems cheer. Interesting. As of recording this, Cortez Masto is currently losing her race. Tim Ryan breaks from Biden on student debt relief plan. Tim Ryan lost his race. Now, I'm not saying they only lost their races because they were critical of Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. But again, worth mentioning, youth turnout is why Democrats won. So when you have candidates here, Democrats speaking out against loan forgiveness, that's not going to help them. Again, going to who these Democrats should be speaking to and what policies they should be supporting. This also is great. So Elon Musk's candidate here, I voted for Mayra Flores, first time ever voted Republican. Massive red wave in 2022. That was back over the summer. And the reality is Mayra lost. So he supported her in that special election when she won, and she ended up losing. The red wave did not happen. Just good to see, Elon Musk's candidate here lose that race. Also, two last things. CBS exit poll, would you like to see Joe Biden run for president again in 2024? 66% say no. So even though Democrats were able to hold on to most of these seats, voters in these races still don't want to see Biden run again. They want someone else at the top of the ticket. And there are now some great potential choices. As Mehdi Hassan here tweets out, we may have to put aside Dems don't have a deep bench if Biden doesn't run in 2024. Conventional wisdom after tonight. You have Josh Shapiro winning big in Pennsylvania as well. So I covered Shapiro in a video yesterday. I think he is going to be a future star in the party. So you have Shapiro, Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, who, whatever. John Fetterman here. My choices, Shapiro and Fetterman, I think are the best of this list. Warnock also would be a good shot if he wins. So he's going to go now to a runoff against Herschel Walker, which is mind-boggling to me. How anybody could vote for Walker, how the race could be that close. But name recognition, celebrity status will take you quite far. Walker, of course, a former NFL star, massive celebrity in Georgia. But if you have seen anything from him, if you have seen him speak, if you have seen any of his positions, any of his lies, Walker, not a good candidate. Hopefully, with a runoff, there's more of a focus on just that race. And hopefully as well, Warnock actually hits Walker a little bit more. He was sort of, not all that tough on Walker the way that I think he should have been. But we will see where that runoff goes. Overall, though, look, sure, this isn't like an amazing result for Democrats, but they were able to hold off the potential here for the GOP to completely take over Congress. And that in itself is a victory, as well as showcasing the importance of Gen Z and progressive politics.